Have you noticed how lies can sprint, but truth always walks with a steady pace? And somehow truth always wins. Welcome, chosen ones. Today we are going to talk about what happens when the stories they told about you no longer hold. Someone is panicking not because you fought back, but because the truth itself walked into the room uninvited. Lies are fragile. They burn bright for a moment, they entertain the crowd, but they cannot endure. And right now, what people are seeing in you is the opposite of every accusation they were fed. That's why the liar is shaking. The false image they built for you no longer matches the living proof standing in front of everyone. If this message resonates with your spirit, type 77 in the comments as your confirmation. And if you feel led, support with a super thanks so more people can hear what truth sounds like when it speaks. Stay with me, because what we are about to uncover is the unraveling of their story and the revealing of your strength. They thought they had you locked inside a prison made of words. Every rumor was another bar, every accusation another lock. They believed if they repeated their version of you long enough, it would trap you forever. But here is the irony. The prison was never real. It only existed if you agreed to live inside it, and you didn't. You refused to let their definition become your destiny. Instead of trying to break the bars, you walked right through them because paper cages cannot hold a person of truth. And that is why they are panicking. The image they built has already dissolved, and people around them are starting to notice. Whispers have turned into questions. If they lied about this, what else have they lied about? That is the collapse of control. You didn't need a speech to prove them wrong. You didn't need to fight for validation. You let your consistency speak louder than their performance, and the longer people watched, the clearer the cracks became. Imagine a wall of glass shattering slowly, piece by piece, until nothing is left but fragments on the floor. That's what has happened to their story. If you've ever walked out of someone's false cage, declare it in the comments, "I am free," because your very existence has become the evidence that their lies could never last. And this is only the beginning. Keep listening, because the spotlight they used to destroy you is about to expose them. They thought dragging your name into the spotlight would humiliate you. They believed the heat of attention would make you stumble and collapse under the weight of shame. Exposure was supposed to be their weapon, but light has a way of telling the truth. Instead of showing their version of you, the spotlight revealed your composure, your patience, your steady character. Every attempt to magnify your flaws only magnified their desperation. People didn't just hear what was said about you, they saw how you carried yourself through it all. They watched you stay calm when you could have lashed out. They saw your discipline when you could have broken down. And now, the same light that was supposed to blind you has become a mirror reflecting their insecurity back at them. That is why they are panicking, because every eye that was meant to witness your downfall has become an audience to their unraveling. Lies can sound convincing in the dark, but they always collapse under the light of consistency. And the longer you stood in that spotlight without crumbling, the more obvious it became who was telling the truth. If you've ever seen the light expose someone's mask, write in the comments, "The mirror never lies." Your endurance has turned their weapon into your testimony. They thought their whispers in private rooms would never surface. They believed they could smear your name behind closed doors, convinced that silence meant safety. But what they never calculated was how many people were quietly watching. Neighbors, friends, co-workers, even strangers who caught small glimpses of the truth. Silent witnesses are the ones liars fear the most, because they don't announce themselves. They simply observe, remember, and connect the dots. While they were busy performing, others were taking mental notes. Every contradiction, every exaggeration, every crack in their story was quietly stored away. And now those silent witnesses have started to speak, not always with words, but with a shift in their eyes, their doubt, their questions. Suddenly, the liar finds themselves surrounded by people who no longer believe them, not because you shouted your innocence, but because the truth became undeniable on its own. That is why their panic feels heavier now. They are not just fighting you anymore. They are fighting the collective awareness of everyone who saw the truth in real time. If you've ever felt unseen but later discovered people noticed your strength all along, comment, "The room was watching." Because silence doesn't mean ignorance. It means observation. And observation is the very thing that liars cannot survive. Every word they hurled at you was never really about you. It was about them. Their accusations were mirrors they didn't realize they were holding up to their own face. When they called you jealous, it was their own envy leaking out. When they painted you as unstable, it was their own chaos spilling over. When they said you were reckless, it was their own life that was crumbling in the background. Projection is the liar's favorite disguise, but over time, patterns emerge. People start to notice the disconnect. They compare the label you were given with the way you live. And then they compare it with the way the accuser behaves. And slowly, the truth becomes undeniable. The insults were confessions in disguise. This is why they are panicking. They revealed more about themselves with every attempt to smear you than they ever revealed about you. And now, the crowd can see it. The mirror effect is complete. They tried to bury you with their words, but they ended up exposing the rot inside their own story. If you've ever recognized someone's accusation as nothing more than a reflection of their own wounds, declare in the comments, "The mirror speaks." Because every projection they used has now backfired into revelation. They wanted to trap you in a snapshot of your past. A mistake, a season of struggle, a moment of weakness. They froze you there and tried to convince everyone that was all you would ever be. But life doesn't freeze. Growth doesn't pause. You kept moving forward. And every step you took widened the gap between their story and your reality. While they repeated the same tired script, you were writing new chapters. You were healing, expanding, and evolving into someone they never accounted for. That's why their story now feels outdated, even laughable. People look at you today and see a depth, a strength, a transformation that their words can't explain away. The version of you they tried to sell no longer exists, and that gap terrifies them, because it proves their narrative was never true. Lies can't keep up with growth, and your growth has become the loudest evidence of all. If you know you've outgrown someone's false storyline, write in the comments, "I'm not who I was," because your very evolution is the rebuttal they never saw coming. Their panic is proof that you've already left their script behind and nothing can pull you back into it. Lies sprint, but truth walks, and the walk always wins. They tried to drown you in noise, but noise burns itself out. What endures is the steady rhythm of truth, the quiet consistency of a life lived with integrity. That is why they are panicking now, because the noise they made has faded and the only thing left standing is you. The very opposite of what they said you were is what people see today with their own eyes. They called you unstable, but your steadiness has been proven. They called you reckless, but your discipline is undeniable. They called you unworthy, but your growth has outshined every false word spoken against you. This is the moment you realize you never had to fight for the truth. It was fighting for you all along. Time exposed the cracks in their story. Witnesses confirmed what you lived, and your growth became the testimony that no smear campaign could erase. They lost because lies cannot outlast consistency, and you won because your life aligned with truth. So stand tall in that reality. Own it. If this word resonates with your spirit, type in the comments, "Truth wins." Let your voice be part of the echo that drowns out every false narrative. Hit the like button if you know truth is stronger than lies. Subscribe to this channel if you want to walk with a community that values authenticity over noise. And if you feel led, support with a super thanks to help this message reach more chosen ones who need to hear it. The panic you see in them, is the sound of collapse. The calm you feel in yourself is the strength of victory. Lies fade, noise disappears, but truth endures, and your life is the living proof.